The number one thing that is preventing you from building the life that you want is distractions. There's a lot of different distractions that we have in our life, both in our personal and our professional. But at the end of the day, they are all sucking away our five most precious resources: our time, energy, attention, money, and soul. But the number one distraction that we have in our life is our phones. We have to have a dangerous conversation with ourselves. We have to be honest about not just where we're spending our time, but where we're putting our attention to. Because sometimes the calendar looks great. We're blocking off all the right things, but we still don't feel like we're getting all the things done that we need to. Why? Because even though the time is blocked, the attention is being sucked somewhere else. So we're going to go through 5 different boundaries that you can put on your phone without having a severe impact on how you operate in your daily life. Because I understand it. I do. My phone is my car key. It's my credit card. It, unlocks my house. I can get into, different things to run my business. I can probably run 80% of my business on my phone. It helps me stay in touch with the people that I love and care about. It is an integral part of my life. And if I were to lose it, it would make it hard to function at the same level that I normally would every day. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to do this with 5 easy different ways right now. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is really important. And this is one of those dangerous conversations we have to have with ourselves, because it is going to get down to factual truth. Now, we have to be careful when we do this, because a lot of times we want to justify what it is that we're going to look at and say, well, it's not that bad, or here's context of this. And sometimes that matters and sometimes it doesn't. And we just have to call it what it is. And the first thing that we're going to do is look at our screen time. So I'm on an iPhone right now, and we're going to look up just that. It's called screen time. And the way that I get to it is just swiping down. And if you type in the search screen time, it'll pop right up. You can also go into settings and get access to it from there. If you're using an Android phone, I believe it's called digital well-being or digital wellness. So you can look that up too. And it's easy to Google if you need the instructions on where to find it. But they do the same thing. So when you come in here, you're going to see this like chart with all these graphs coming up. As you can see here, I don't actually have a full week yet because I'm on Thursday and I want to see a full week on this. So if I swipe back on these blue charts, if I click on see all app and website activity, I want to sort it not from day. I want to go to week, and then I want to swipe backwards right here so I can see last week's average. This gives me the full view for an entire week to see all of these different categories. Now, if the week before was a weird week for you, like you were out sick, or maybe you were traveling or on vacation, something like that, and it wasn't a normal week, then swipe back one more time and go to 2 weeks prior, because really what we want to do is we want to see how we are interacting with our phone, where our attention is going in a normal week of our lives. My screen time, I average 5.5 hours a day. That was up 6% from last week, so not too different. And as you can see right here, I actually do have limits on my social media, but some of that got blown through regardless. So right here is the thing I want you to focus on right now. It's your most used categories. So you can see right here, X, messages, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. This is showing when I am on my phone where I spent the most time. So 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I was the app that I used on my phone the most was X. I was on it for 13 hours. Wow, that's a lot. The next one was YouTube. Now YouTube, by the way, I don't consider YouTube social media. If anything, I consider YouTube entertainment or a form of television. And the different categories that you really want to pay attention to when you're looking at this would be gaming. If you're single, dating apps. If you're married, you better not have that on your phone. Hopefully, YouTube can schedule dates just fine. So gaming, dating apps, social media, and then, like I said, anything else that you're just spending a crazy amount of time on. If you're a professional and you are spending a lot of time on like an office messaging app, like a Slack or Microsoft Teams, that's another one to pay attention to, because you're probably able to interact on the majority of that, when you're on your computer during the day. So really make sure, understand the context. Like, what are you doing? Not so much with your 9 to 5, but your 5 to 9 too. All right. That's really important. So now look, I can look at some of these things and try to justify it. I'm on X a lot right now for 2 reasons. I get a lot of financial research from there, and I'm also trying to grow my brand on there. I'm posting a lot more on it. So I am spending a lot of time on it from there. But if I'm honest with myself, I do some doom scrolling. So shame on me. It's a good gut check. Even though I'm on there intentionally, if I'm truly honest with myself right now, it's like, yeah, I got sucked into some doom scrolling loops and right before I should be going to bed and laying there. So I could probably cut this down by a good 40%, no problem. Now, YouTube, I almost never watch YouTube on my phone. The 4 hours on here is actually just a box fan noise that I use for white noise whenever the kids wake up really early before their bedtime and I just need an extra 30 minutes of sleep or something so I can't hear them. So that's what that is. So that's what I'm talking about when, yes, you can give some context to yourself, but at the same time, we have to be honest about what it's showing us. All right. LinkedIn, when I'm doing LinkedIn for work stuff, I do it on my computer. So anytime I'm spending on LinkedIn or Instagram that's on my phone, that's just pure entertainment. Okay. So I have to reconcile that and just be honest about it. This is a super underrated statistic right here, and that is pickups. This is really important. The average person picks up their phone over 145 times a day. Okay. That's just the average. So I can say, hey, I'm kind of below it. I'm at 105, which is about what I shoot for. That's really important to me because every time we pick up our phone, that just creates another distraction. And when you look at all the productivity studies, if you even look at your phone for like 30 seconds to a minute when you're in the middle of a project, when you get back to that project, it shows that you have decreased efficiency by anywhere from 10 to 40% sometimes because it just takes you that much longer to get in the zone. So just looking at your phone real quick because it's buzzing at you is really killing your productivity during the day. All right. So pickups is the other one. Notifications you can see down here. I got 0. Why is that? Well, that's going to go into another one that we'll talk about in just a second. Like I said, that can be a little tough to look at reality sometimes. But the reason that we do that is because we need to understand the why. Otherwise, it's not going to matter. And we're just going to fall back into old habits. Because if you look at that screen time and you can cut it down by 25, 50, even 75% in some categories, let's say you just get an hour a day back. Well, if you multiply that just over the work week by 5, that's 20 hours a month. What could you do with almost half a week of work of your time, energy, and attention back? What could you accomplish? So when you answer those questions and you have a strong why and you say, these are the goals that I'm working towards. This is the life that I'm trying to build for myself. But if I can take just my time, energy, attention back for even 20 hours a week, and I reallocated that and I used that to move me a little bit closer towards one of my goals or a few of them, what could I accomplish? When you remember that why, it's going to make a huge difference and you will stay motivated and eventually that motivation will become discipline. Now, let's talk about the fourth boundary. The fourth boundary is the most simple thing that you can do and it works wonders. When you have your phone and you're sitting down at your desk and you're working, or when you are going to bed and you don't want to look at your phone at night so you can get good sleep habits, there's this magical thing that you can do where you take your phone and you put it all the way out of arm's reach. Move your phone far away from you to where you can't just habitually be like, oh, Buzz, oh. We have been Pavloved dogs by these things, okay? We have been classically conditioned that when a notification comes up or if we just haven't heard anything in a while, like we will just pick up our phone and check, oh, is anything happening, okay? It takes some deprogramming, and the easiest way to do it is to just move it out of arm's length. It's not going to go run off on you. It's not going to grow legs, okay? It's going to be fine. It's not the gingerbread man. It'll be there when you're done. Just get it out of arm's length. Don't leave it on your desk. Leave it at somewhere else where you have to physically stand up to go get it and check it. And I promise you, you will see your focus and your productivity absolutely skyrocket. All right, so now it's time for boundary number 3, and that is your notifications. So there you go. You can see it. There's a couple different places, but every single app that I have is totally off. There is nothing on with the exception of 2 things. I have my messages and I have my phone calls. That's it. Those are the only notifications that I leave on. If I need to get on an office messaging or app, or I need to look into something and need to check my bank account, whatever the case is, I can do that on my time. I can control when that is going to happen. I do not need my phone and the big billion-dollar corporations behind all these things trying to brain hack me and tell me when I should be getting on there. I am in control of my time, and I will invest it in the things that I want to when I want to, not when this thing tells me. And that's the power that you get back when you turn off notifications. Now, I know some of you are freaking out, but don't worry, we're going to get into boundaries number 2 and number 1. They tie in with each other, but I'm going to show you how to do something that's incredibly powerful so you don't miss things that are important, because that's the number one excuse that people have. So turn off all notifications on your phone and take back the power. Like I said, I only have 2 notifications that I get on my phone, and that is my phone calls and my text messages. But sometimes when I'm trying to get work done, I'm in some group texts that can be really active with some family or some friends or some trading buddies. And my phone can just constantly be buzzing at certain points of the day, and it can be really distracting. Well, what we do is we come in and we swipe down on search again, or like I said, you can go to the settings and we find do not disturb. And all I have to do is hit that little toggle right there. Depending on the iPhone you have, you can even customize a little button on the side and just double click that. And then that turns on do not disturb and you are set to go. Now, some of you might be freaking out going, Steven, I would love to turn on do not disturb, but I have kids. And sometimes if they call me, it's important. Or maybe I get a call from the school and somebody's sick or whatever the case is. Or, my mother is not in good health. And if she calls me, I need to pick that up. So I can't do this. I can't turn on do not disturb because pick your reason and your excuse. Don't worry. Now we're going to get to boundary 1, which is customizing our do not disturb. And I don't have Android, but I've heard that you can do the exact same thing on that. And this is incredibly powerful, okay? Because it takes away the excuses and it enables you to get things done. So number 1, you can come into people. And even though you have do not disturb on, you can allow notifications from certain types of people. So you can customize this. I click on add people and then I can go through and I can pick a specific person that is allowed to bypass do not disturb. So even though it's on, they're still allowed to call me. What I do, just to make it really simple, is I have my favorites list that's on my phone, and I have it set up right here to where you can do allowed people only, or you can do favorites or contacts only, however you want to customize it. But what I just like to do is, the people I talk to the most, or the numbers that I need to hear from the most, I have 3 kids, they all go to school. They get hurt sometimes. The school nurse has to call. I have that number on my favorites. So that way it rings right through. And this way, as you can see right here, if you can see this part under it, it says allow incoming calls from only the contacts you add to the focus. And it will, your favorites and emergency bypass contacts. So that's a really big one. Now, here's another thing. Allow repeated calls right down here below that. So a second call from the same person within 3 minutes will not be silenced. So we have a rule in my family that we talk about. If you call somebody more than 2 times back to back within 3 minutes, it is an emergency. So the reason that I have that on is because I will tell people, or if I know it's an important call that somebody's going to call me today, I'll say, hey, my do not disturb is normally on. Just call me twice in a row and it'll ring through, something like that. This is another great little loophole to allow things to get through. So my wife knows if she calls me 3 times, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I am in a meeting, I will stop to pick up that phone call because it's signaling to me that something is urgent. Okay. So that's just a little system that we have set up that, prevents 99% of any of the emergency or important or urgent things that somebody would need to get in touch with me for. And it allows it to bypass the do not disturb. So there's one last really cool piece of customization that I highly recommend you do. I like to automate as many things as I can. So if you come down here to set a schedule, I actually have it set automatically from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. that the do not disturb comes on automatically. I don't even have to do it. The phone just switches that on. The reason that I do that is because the mornings is when I tend to block off the majority of my projects or my deep work. So I'm intensely working on something. The afternoons is when I tend to take more client calls or respond to people, whatever the case may be. So that's why I have it turned off at 1 p.m. If somebody's trying to get in touch with me, then that's when I'm most likely to be taking some of these calls. All right, so there you have it. 5 different boundaries that you can set on your phone that won't severely disrupt the flow of your life. I hope that you use the majority of these, if not all 5 of them, and watch as you start to take back your time, energy, attention, money, and probably soul too, because let's be honest, some of that doom scrolling is just ruining us, okay? So use some of these boundaries, take advantage of it, and keep building the life that you want.